Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to generate a unit mix around an existing corridor. So I've gone ahead and opened the Finch sample project that you'll also have available. And then I've opened the 3 custom core option. Okay, so let's begin by taking stock of what we have here. Let's open our programs data drawer so that we can see that we have residential here and circulation spaces. Then what we're going to do is to be sure that we have the space types correct on our corridor here. Is we're going to double click on this space. We're going to click again on the area and you see it will open the space type. We're going to make sure this is stipulated as corridor. Again, it has to be corridor so that when we run our plan generator and use your existing plan library, Finch is going to know that this is where we need access to the apartments. So once we're happy with this, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little trick and come up here to our draw walls feature. And because we have a symmetrical building here, I'm going to snap to the midpoint. And I'm going to draw one wall here, keeping it perpendicular. I'm going to snap to the midpoint here and draw another wall here, keeping it perpendicular. Now what we do is we now have these completely symmetrical spaces. The reason we've done this is that we can select both areas to run our generate unit mix. And Finch will understand that because these are symmetrical, because it's going to generate a symmetrical unit mix layout. So I've started with these two. These are around the exterior of this U-shaped building. So let's say that we want some larger apartments around the outside and perhaps some smaller 1 and 2 beds here on the interior. So now that we've selected these areas, we're going to come up here and we're going to select unit mix around existing corridor. Finch is going to begin iterating and working on the best layout for these unit mixes. And whilst this is happening, let's jump over here to our data on the left and see what we can adjust and what changes we can make. We have our unit mix. So this is us telling Finch exactly what percentage mix we want of different sizes of apartments. We maybe want some bigger apartments here. So let's make it 50% 95, 50% 75, and let's get rid of these smaller apartments. As with our massing studio from the previous tutorials, every time we make any adjustments here, Finch is going to start iterating again. Now, as we scroll down, we have our unit weights. Again, these are our sliders that tell Finch how much to prioritize the different information, the different data that we're giving it. If you ever have any questions along the way, just click on that eye to open up a bit of information. So if we slide all the way up here, we're telling Finch as close as possible, try and make all apartments meet these 75 square meters and 95 square meters. Or if it's more important to us that we have a closer mix of apartments that are roughly this size, we can turn our unit mix up and our size metric down. As well as seeing all of this reflected in the plan, we're also going to see this reflected down here. So these numbers are telling us in this instance that we have a mix which is 85 or close to 86% of what we're trying to achieve. So if it's 100, we know we're spot on. The fit means that this floor plate is currently 30.8 square meters too big to be able to fit this perfect configuration of units at this size. Next thing that we have down, which is very crucial, is our grid lines. As you can see, we've brought our grid lines in from our software. And as we turn this up, we're telling Finch to try and lay out the walls as close to the grid lines as possible. Turn our size metric down. This improves the daylight access by evaluating the facade area. Then we have things like squareness and adjacencies. Best way to learn about these is to simply jump into a project and start playing around with them and see how the plan adjusts and changes. Let's perhaps turn our grid line metric down a little bit because it's making it hard for us to get the right sizes. If we come down to constraints, we can stipulate things like the minimum unit width. So if we have a very deep building and we don't want long, thin apartments, we can make sure that our unit width is a minimum of, let's say, 5 meters. And when we come down to settings, we have things like align walls with core. So if we have perhaps a more peculiar shaped building with some walls which are not at 90-degree angles, if we turn this off, then it's going to try and generate a unit mix based on the facades and not running perpendicular from the core. And then we have things like our generic wall widths for our party walls. So let's maybe raise this to 300. Great. So now we're getting a pretty good mix. We're getting a pretty good fit. And the unique units is looking quite good. So we have lots of units which are mirrored so that we can use our smart copy and paste tool to copy apartments. Once we're happy with this, we come up here, we select apply plan. And a great thing to always bear in mind with Finch is that as the designer, you're always in control. So once we've generated this, for example, if we don't really like this jump here between the corridor and the wall, we simply come in. We can use the align tool to align our walls. We can do this on this side as well. Great. So that is how we generate a unit mix around an existing corridor. If we come up to the right and see our data drawers, we're going to see our residential unit mix broken down here. So we can see how many apartments we have in total, 16 apartments. Thanks for following along.